Are you having problems trying to figure out your guide spacing on your spinning rod build? Well, if so, you've come to the right place, because today I'm going to give you some guide spacing for spinning rods. Hey guys, it's John from ReelBlue Custom Rods, and today we're going to talk about guide spacing for freshwater and salmon and steelhead rods with a spinning setup. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and talk about the freshwater setup. So we're going to cover 4.5 feet to 7.5 feet in length. And not only am I going to give you the guide spacing, but I'm also going to give you a recommended guide size for those spacings. And again, these are all just recommendations. There is no one standard when it comes to guide spacing. There's my version, there's somebody else's version, there's a rod manufacturer's version, there is a distributor's version. So there's a lot of different versions or ways to come up with guide spacing. But again, we're going to go ahead and cover the freshwater from 4.5 to 7.5. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first one here, a rod length, a complete rod length, right from tip to butt, at 4 feet and 6 inches, your guide spacing would be 5, 11.5, 20.5, and 31. And your guide sizes would be 6, 8, 10, and 20. That's going from the tip towards the butt, right? Smallest to the largest. Your second rod at 5 feet would be 5 inches, 10.5 inches, 17, 25, and 34.25. And the recommended guide sizes for those would be a size 6, 8, 10, 16, and 20. For a size 5 foot 6 inch rod, our guide spacing would be 5.5 inches, 11.5 inches, 18.5 inches, 26.5 inches, and 37 inches, with guide spacing of 6, 8, 10, 16, and 25. A 6 foot rod would be 4 inches, 9 inches, 15 inches, 22 inches, 30 inches, and 40 inches. The guide sizes for those would be 7, 8, 10, 16, 20, and 25. So you notice that the size 5 foot and the 5 foot 6 inch, although we had different sizes for guide space or different spacing for guide spacing, we still had the same amount of guides that we were putting on there. The big difference was the last rod, or the largest guide, was a big change. And then when we bumped up here to 6 foot, we went from 5 guides to 6 guides. So let's go with 6 foot 6 inches. So 6 foot 6 inch rod, again, tip to butt. Your guide spacing would be 4 inches, 9, 15, 22.5, 31.5, and 42.5. And we have the same exact recommended guide sizes: size 7, 8, 10, 16, 20, and 25. Now, for a size 7 foot rod, our guide spacing would be 4 inches, 8.5 inches, 13.5 inches, 19.5 inches, 27, 36, and 49 inches. And our guide spacing would be our guide sizes for this 7 foot rod would be 6, 7, 8, 10, 16, 20, and a 30. And then the 7 foot 6 inch rod, our guide spacing would be 4.5 inches, 9.5 inches, 15.5 inches, 22.5 inches, 30.5 inches, 41, and 54 inches. with the same exact recommended guide sizes of 6, 7, 8, 10, 16, 20, and size 30. Right? And so that covers out all of our freshwater rods for spinning from 4 feet 6 inches to 7 foot 6 inches. And hopefully that you can see and you've caught on is every foot is still going to have the same amount of guides, right? The spacing just changes. What do I mean by that? The 5 foot rod has the same exact amount of guides as a 5.5 foot rod. We just, our spacing changes. A 6 foot rod has the same amount of guides as a 6.5 foot rod, and a 7 foot rod has the same amount of guides as a 7.5 foot rod. Of course, that can change if you want to start getting into some high performance stuff. You know, you can change that, but in theory, you know, a 5 foot rod and a 5.5 foot rod are going to have the same amount of guides, just different spacing in between them. All right, so now let's talk about salmon and steelhead. And we're really only going to cover 3 sizes of rod here for salmon and steelhead with a spinning setup. We're going to cover a 7 foot 6 inch, an 8 foot 6 inch, and a 9 foot rod. So a 7 foot 6 inch salmon steelhead spinning rod, our guide spacing would be 4.5 inches, 9.5 inches, 15.5 inches, 22.5 inches, 30.5 inches, 41 and 54 inches. And our recommended guide sizes for that would be 6, 7, 8, 10, 16, 20, and 30. All right. Our 8 foot 6 inch rod, again, from tip to butt, would be 5.5, 12, 19 3/4, 28.5, 38, 50 3/4, and 65 inches, with the same amount of spinning, or excuse me, with the same amount of guide sizes of 6, 7, 8, 10, 16, 20, and size 30. And lastly, our 9 foot salmon steelhead spinning setup from tip to butt would be 5 inches, 10.5 inches, 16.5 inches, 23.5 inches, 32 inches, 42, 53, and 68.5 inches. And our guide sizes for the 9 foot salmon steelhead spinning setup would be a size 6, a size 7, another size 7, a size 8, a 10, a 16, a 20, and a size 30. So as you can see, you know, these are definitely, you know, an easy breakdown and chart that you can come back and relook when you're making your build, take screenshots, jot down, take notes, you know, for a freshwater 4.5 foot to 7.5 foot spinning setup, or for a salmon steelhead spinning setup from 6.5 feet to 9 feet. Again, you know, I hope you got a lot out of this video. If you like it, go ahead, hit the like button, leave a comment below and let me know what you think. And lastly, go ahead and watch this next video here. And as always, I really appreciate everybody, you know, watching my videos, providing comments, you know, sharing your thoughts and comments in the community tab. Feel free to jump over there if you haven't been there yet. And again, thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting ReelBlue Custom Rods. And until next time, take care.